Welcome to the Own It Show. I am Heather Lee Chapman, your self-mastering business coach, and I am so grateful to be here today on the Own It Show because we love to bring to you special guests who help uncommon knowledge become common and truly own your lives, because life is meant to be blissful and we've all been doing it the hard way. So I'm so excited because Spencer is here today to talk to us about his real estate investing firm, and to give us some tips and tricks and share about his entrepreneurial journey. So I will let you introduce yourself. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Such a wonderful way to spend a Friday. Thank you so much, Heather, for having me. Yeah, talking about entrepreneurship is just like the most fun topic we can get into. So, for me, I'm based out here in the Bay Area, California. So born here originally, but actually ended up in a career in Silicon Valley tech companies for 13 years. That was like what I did. I was building big teams and these unicorn startups for a very long time. And ultimately, Jennifer Morimoto, who is my co-founder and my spouse, we both had our own careers, and we have since left those careers behind about 5 months before COVID. Feels like forever ago now, but we walked away. I walked away from that career to go and full-time focus on my own company. That is Madison Investing, where we help entrepreneurs, actually physicians, full-time employees across the board, build an off-ramp, if you want to call it that, financially. And so we help them invest in, real estate apartments and, self-storage facilities and other private deals that you can't find elsewhere. So that's been a wonderful and exciting. And I think the term we used beforehand when we were chatting was, it's been a journey.
It's been a journey.
It's been a journey. And I'm so thankful to be where we're at now.
That's amazing. And I know, I just want to say, so I started myself building like side businesses alongside other businesses because I wanted to get out of a trade your time for money model. And so, we work it around the nooks and crannies of our life until we're ready to make that transition. So I just wanted to share that. I know before you said the same thing. So you did it evenings and weekends, right?
Absolutely. And I never thought of myself as an early bird. We have 2 young kids, now they're 4 and 7, and I would say they keep us up nice and early every day. I had to take it to the extreme when I was working full time, and this might actually be helpful, if not very nerdy, on my part, because I like a good framework. But, there's this term that I picked up from a former mentor of mine. It's called LIMFACTS, or limiting factors. I did not come up with that. Can't take credit. And ever since I heard that there was like these like 3 limiting factors, you have time. And then you also have capital, and that's not just money. I mean, that's also that's your health capital. You got time, you got knowledge, and then you got capital. And I think as much as you manage those 3 things, man, I could not find time. I couldn't find time at night. I was tired, so my health capital, my time was not there. I was up at 4 a.m. So 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. before I went into my day job when I was still building our company on nights and weekends, leading up to that moment in 2019 when we decided to go full time and run our company. So those LIMFACTS and the management of them and understanding where I could pull from in the nooks and crannies was absolutely critical to building our company up to where it is now. So you got me going on that topic of, oh my gosh.
It's really important to say, because I think for a lot of people, they give up too quickly. And so that's why I want to have entrepreneurs on here, because we only see the tip of the iceberg. Mm-hmm. And we're like, oh, well, that person's successful. But yes, he had a full-time job where he's working with billion-dollar corporations, building them, right? Building teams, and still health, family, all the other things while building this business alongside. And yes, it does take some sacrifice, but that's a choice, right? For a little bit of time so that we can then live a life that most people will not. And that's why only 10% of the population is actually willing to do what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And only 10% of that 10% statistics show will do what it takes to play full out and actually own their lives. So we need to inspire people to actually understand that it is a journey. Right? So we've all been there. We've all had the late nights, the early mornings. I used to run a study club at 5 a.m. on Zoom. Now I absolutely do not. I took a year to just sleep until I was done sleeping, have my 4 hours for me in the morning, once I had created that space in my life. But I had to do to get there.
If you don't carve out the time, and I think for me personally, when I hear you say the 10% of the 10%, when you were sharing those really interesting stats, it reminded me of a specific number that fit within those nooks and crannies that I carved out, because literally 10 hours was the number I found. So I went and did this audit, if you want to call it that, of my calendar when I was trying to figure out, working full time, how the heck do I find time to build this side hustle, what is now a flourishing business? Had to go to a leadership job, had to go during the day, had to take care of kids, had to go, shuttle them around where they got to go for life's responsibilities.
Your dad.
Yes. And I had to figure out how much time can I actually devote to this. But people are, I was tempted to make the same mistake that I hear so many other folks that are just starting their entrepreneurial activities, the same mistake, which is they think it's beneath them. And I thought it was beneath me to go and literally do something as dry as looking across your week and asking, okay, what can I cut? Like maybe I won't go to that coffee. Maybe I can't go to that dinner. Maybe I won't go have that beer. And just truly being honest with yourself about what am I prepared to carve out and deprioritize in order to prioritize the right activities and just laser focus on those things. That's why the limiting factors are so critical. And I want to encourage people to go do that same thing. I literally have mentored someone and said, like, LimFac audit, as dry as that sounds, like audit it, find what time you have available, find what like energy, like what is your magic hour, if you want to call it that, that time of day for your brain. For me, that was 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. in that window. That is when I am on a whole other level. And if I try to do that, some people are night owls. I cannot do that. I can't, I'm not as good. I'm not as good at 9 o'clock at night. I can't get on email and do that.
Yeah, I got it. And I love that you said that, because I've heard it said before, it's about when is your zone of genius time. So some people best is 6 a.m. Some people is at midnight, right? We have to also find what works with us. So I do love that. And I'm actually reading The One Thing right now, and I have on my desk here. So just to add to that.
Nice.
Yeah, so good. My coach, Kelly Roach, recommended it for the last couple of years, and we finally down to it. I love books, so we've always got a few on the go, but I love the question, right? What is the one thing I can do that will make everything else easier or unnecessary and create a positive domino effect?
Yes.
And so we can put that for, what is the one thing for my health? What is the one thing for my sales? What is the one thing for my marketing? And you want to put that in all the categories of your life. And then I love the question. They call it a success habit. Until my one thing is done, everything else is a distraction.
Oh, man. And not only does that resonate, but I would say that when it comes to what is the biggest blocker for most people to getting to that point of clarity? And in my own experience, I would say it's saying no. A book that armed me. I don't want to just keep throwing book recommendations out.
Why not?
I mean, this one I've gone through 3 times. I find it to be incredibly powerful, and I've gotten good feedback from others after I've recommended it, which is Essentialism by Greg McKeown. That book is killer, and it's great because they basically hit on the fact that we all have the same number of hours in the day, and using that same ethos as the one thing. If there is one thing, what's holding someone back from doing that? Well, it's all that other stuff. It's life. It's the calendar. It's friends. It's responsibilities. It's family. It's a job. It's stuff you have to react to. So where do we get hung up? It's going to that person in our life or having that tougher conversation. Doesn't have to be painful. Isn't certainly never rude, but and saying I can't do it now. The answer is not no. It's just not now. On that other thing that doesn't happen to be the one thing. And so I would say that the book Essentialism arms you. It's the first book I found, honestly, Heather, where it gives you phrasing even on how to say no in socially graceful and thoughtful, compassionate ways. And that is just, it's golden to me, because I try to be a compassionate person in the way I conduct my life, but no one likes to let their people they care about down. But you got to make those sacrifices, just like you were saying a moment ago so well, which is if I didn't make those choices in building our business at Madison Investing, I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you right now. I'd probably still be leading teams and growing Silicon Valley startups. And
someone else's dream. Yeah. And I love that. That's actually something we're working on with a client right now, and it's about creating boundaries. And so in NLP, they actually give you a full exercise to give you the vocabulary, and their quantitative things they measure is, do I want to? Do I have the time? Do I have the money? And then I also ask, do I have the energy?
Yes.
So,
the energy.
Yes. Yeah. Because for me, I run really high energy. So do I want to do that at this energy level is always a question for me, because that's the way I prefer to show up. So I absolutely love that. And creating boundaries is how we get to the one thing. And we can't answer the question of, is this in like number one priority, until we know what our goal is. And that's why in our community, that's the first thing we start with: your big, hairy, audacious goal, your life purpose, and then reverse engineer to build your life now, right?
100%. Yeah. And beginning with the end in mind was a goal setting process. And this is brief, but worthwhile, I think, for folks to learn from our, from our tougher, bumpier learnings. So Jennifer and I, who is my wife and also my co-founder, we sat down and did a very deep goal setting exercise. This is years ago now, when we were both still in our W-2 careers. And we started way far out horizon time wise. And we said, okay, when do we want to be fully focused, financially independent, and not have to require any forms of income outside of our own investments? And we said 15 years when this goal setting exercise happened, just to take away all excuses.
Mm-hmm.
It took too long. We were like, no way. This is way too long. So we do want to have fun with our kids, get more time with them, experience life at a different level. By the time that we maybe call it 5 years, call it 7 years, we landed on 7. So we chopped it down to 7. Everything from there that we do now, we have worked our way backwards from that number to quarterly, to annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly. And it's not perfect. I can't sit here and act like, oh, I have a perfect spreadsheet and we follow these down to the hour to a T. That's just not how life works.
Yes.
But those were formative discussions, and for a solopreneur, for a solo entrepreneur, of which that's most of them, I would say that, that's a much faster debate. It's not easy, but it's a much faster debate if you don't have a co-founder.
Yes. Yeah.
For us, it took a whole weekend, and there was laughter, there was debate, there was argument, there was even reconciliation multiple times over. And without that, though, that clarity, we never would have been able to know what to say no to.
Yes.
So we could be available to say yes to the right thing. And so I wanted to call that thing out about goals, because people tend to think goal setting is a one and done. Mm-hmm. It is a dynamic, living, breathing thing when done right, and it's never done.
Yes. I love Abraham Hicks says, even when you get to the deathbed, you are going to be like, I'm not done, because there's always going to be more to be done. And so we teach you can't get there from here. Right. So you can't create a plan, because the current version of you, your thoughts, feelings, actions, everything, your paradigm has got you here, and it can't get you there. 100%. So you have to actually generate new ideas to have a new plan and work your way back. And then we goal plan, do review every quarter, because we don't marry our plan. The plan we put in action, because it starts to manifesting and the universe starts to function with us. And then we pivot. So we marry our destination and we pivot our plan, and we build the plane in the air, and we goal plan, do review along the way. So that way it also has people getting over being stopped, because a lot of people just don't get started because they think, oh, well, it has to be perfect. Well, no, you're actually in about 60 days, you're going to review it all, edit it, and put in the next plan for the next quarter. So that has people actually, so we say clarity breeds quantum leaps.
Oh, that's awesome.
And with that clarity, then we can take action, figure out what works, what doesn't work, automate, delegate, delete, one thing it, and then keep moving. So I absolutely love that. And if we don't start with that goal, we're wandering aimlessly. So we've got to start there.
You have to start somewhere. Yeah. And I love the language you put around that.
Thank you. Yeah. So no more building in vain. We start with the big, hairy, audacious goal first, so that when we get there, we're like, yes, this was my purpose.
You'll know.
You'll know. Exactly. Okay. So this has been so much fun. I want to share your zone of genius with people. So some tips and tricks on helping this uncommon knowledge become common, because most people, being an employee is great. Being an entrepreneur is great. I believe truly owning it is when we build our own dreams. And my grandfather taught me, you'll never get rich from your wages.
Yes.
So let's learn how to make money, make us money, and find different ways to learn how to invest. And so enter your tips and tricks.
Yeah. And this is like a passion point for me, clearly. So at Madison Investing, I get to wake up every day and just connect and help others grow how they think about building. Think of it like financial offense playbooks for their own life. And for quick context, Jennifer and I, we had our own unique W-2 careers of 13 years. She was, e-commerce marketing leader. I was operations, startup, scaling dude, hiring tons of people. And we thought we were on our path where our wealth would keep growing. And it just made sense. We felt really good. We were getting promotions. We were climbing the ladder. And these aren't humble brags. I mean, this is just something we worked our butts off to get to over a very long time. And we saw our incomes increase, but we did not see our net worth increase in kind. And we were dumping money into a 401k. We were so proud. I remember looking back and being like, wow, look, I maxed out my 401k this year. And I'm not anti by any means. This is just our journey, our path. And so there's some people that are out there doing that right now, and good on you, because you're doing better than people who are not doing anything financially related. But we decided, you know what, if something happens to me, if something happens to Jennifer, we had 2 young kids, family to take care of. How do we make sure there's like a moat? How do we build a moat, some kind of insulation around challenges in life, and growing up, I firsthand grew up in an entrepreneurship business. My dad was a real estate broker for 30 years. He had me working in that thing since I was 6. Small tasks, eventually bigger tasks. And that's kind of what scared me a little bit into technology companies, to be honest. But I think ultimately here I am again, back in working in real estate and investing. And the reason for that is because I saw what happened when we went through a very tough time growing up. And my dad lost my younger brother to cancer. His business imploded. We had one income stream as a family. It went away. And I remember all that. I watched what happened. And now I'm the dad. And we have responsibilities. And so as I'm trying to craft a plan for our own family, we started investing in things such as, apartment funds and syndications and storage facilities. And these are all things that, unlike 401ks, they actually produce money that we can use now. And that is the difference. And dumping money into something that is here for retirement is great. That's a good planning mechanism, but I don't plan on being gone that quickly. We plan on ideally being around for a few decades. And so we want to experience life now. We also want to take bigger leaps, bigger risks. And I think for entrepreneurs specifically, we have a number of very successful entrepreneurs now in our group that are working with us. And they're talking about, well, how do I go and de-risk our financial situation? What happens when the market turns, our business changes, competitor comes in? How do they personally make sure they've got other income streams coming in besides just their active income from their business? And everyone's got different businesses. Maybe they have a product, maybe you're a service provider, maybe you're a consultant, what have you. These entrepreneurs are building game plans just by going out, and instead of using the money to go and just purely dump it back into their own business, which you do have to do sometimes, of course, we have as well. You want to go and invest back into your own family and yourself, because everything stems from your ability and peace of mind to go take bigger, confident, informed risks aligned with your business growth. But you can't do that if you're feeling insecure financially. And so that's a long-winded way of basically saying that is how we approached it as a family. And now we help other people, even many entrepreneurs now, an increasing number, who are trying to go and actually build a plan to de-risk their off-ramp from their business, or even just say they want to take bigger swings and bigger risks and go do a new product, launch a new event type. And they want to invest in parallel with that, so they aren't an afterthought for their own business at the end of it.
And I love that. And so I know in Robert Kiyosaki's book, he says how important it is to pay yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you say is the best way to pay yourself first?
I started my career in W-2 at a company called Intuit. Wonderful experience working there. Same company that makes TurboTax and QuickBooks. And I'm not paid to say that. But I say that because I was there 5 years. And at the time, you would think I was really interested in topics like taxes. They're so dry. I don't know if anyone truly gets up in the morning except for maybe a CPA and is excited.
My accountant's great. He loves it.
I'm a huge fan of ours now too, but I would say that I find them much more interesting now. And I love that you dropped the Kiyosaki quote. I think that is the biggest way of doing that is simply saying, I used to celebrate getting a big tax return. I don't anymore. And the reason I don't anymore is because what that essentially means is you're getting a bunch of money back from the government. And I believe everyone should pay what they're legally required to pay. Of course, taxes are an important part of living in a modern society. But you were basically giving an interest-free loan for a long time. And that money could have been growing in a way that you wanted it to, that you could have chosen to. and it's easy to autopilot it. It's nice to not have to think about it, but I promise you, you can go and learn some of this stuff. You don't have to become a CPA. You don't have to wake up and love talking about taxes, but that is the number one way. We now basically just say, we're going to do the taxes at the end of the tax year with the help of our CPA.
Yes, of course.
I don't use TurboTax. It's a fine product, but I actually firmly believe that most people should be using a CPA because they're very helpful people, and they are the experts. And none of this is tax advice because I am not a CPA. So
we are going to have Rob on though coming up soon. So come back to the show, guys, because he has been my accountant since I was 19.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah. Got to have a CPA that's good, and if you trust them, then don't lose them.
15 years.
Oh my goodness, that is awesome.
Yeah, so, he's great.
But pay yourself first, and don't be afraid of it. I would say a lot of folks tend to have it backwards. I would say, and I used to as well, which is we're very quick to go pay someone else to manage our finances for us, and we try to do all of our tax work ourselves. A lot of us do. Like flip that. Find a way to look at that a little differently. Find a way to go find an expert who you're willing to pay for your tax support, And again, I'm not paid to say any of this stuff. This is just great advice I wish I had gotten much earlier in my life, in my career. And that's a huge way to do that. To pay yourself first.
Yes, absolutely. And when you were saying, because also we have all expenses in our business, right? We can always up the expenses, we can down them, but there's always expenses. And if you would like to scale and grow and have quantum leaps, it's going to have expenses, including mentors, coaches, all the things. And what would you tell somebody who is, especially people in the beginning of their journey, they're always pumping back into their business. I understand that, especially the first couple of years, we know we need to put back into the business a lot of what we make so that it can grow, right? So that it can grow. And it's an investment into ourselves and our company. And so how would somebody get started with you and start paying themselves first so that they have their money making money for them?
Yeah,
instead of just paying the expenses, because we have to get out of the habit of just that.
100%. Yeah, I would say sit down and ask yourself what is essential and what is not essential. And so what we have done planning wise in our own business, because we have truly integrated our own personal family wealth plan in conjunction with our business. So we put our money where our mouth is on this stuff. We go and we take our own personal investment strategy. We put our own money into some of these passive funds, passive real estate investments, passive, we had some rentals as well, but passive syndications, and figure out if you go and dump money into that, pick the amount, and if it's something that is non-essential for your business at that time, you can go out and create an income stream that I think you'd be pretty surprised how much it'll come back to you. And we're talking not at the end of it when it's sold like a stock. We're talking monthly distributions that hit your direct deposit account and you are literally able to live off of, or go have fun with if you want to.
Or invest back into yourself in business.
or invest back in yourself. I'm a guy who hasn't taken a vacation in too long, probably, but I would say that I love personal development, and I'm always doing a coaching program of some type. I'm always trying out new tools and stuff just for personal development. That's what you got to do first, is figure out a way to go invest in something that pays you back. Not just something that it goes and sits there for long periods of time and you can't do anything with it, and your business will be okay, but you got to take care of yourself first financially. So working with partners such as Madison Investing or a number of other ones that are out there, all that I did was I saw there was a huge flood of opportunity in the market, but people are overwhelmed on the education gap. And it doesn't have to be scary. It's really quite simple at a high level. All you need is just some help. And we also went through the journey ourselves. We bought a local rental. We overpaid for it. And we bought some turnkeys in the Midwest, rentals you don't even see. Never saw them myself. Financially, they were fine. They were still a lot of work. We then decided, okay, that was try number 2. Then we personally found real estate syndications, funds, these things that actually pay you a monthly distribution back and that you can actually live off of, in addition to going and figuring out other ways to keep yourself growing, your whole person growing, and then eventually putting it back into your business if you decide to. But that's the kind of move, and it's a total shift in mindset compared to a lot of entrepreneurs who think, I'm going to give everything I have, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially into my business, as opposed to putting that into something that could actually help you and your family. And from there, everything else will flourish.
Build that financial wall of freedom so you do have a life of choices for yourself and your family.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we know that you shared a story that I have a similar one. My mother lost her job right before I was going to go to university. And then I was told, I don't know if we'll be able to send you. And I thought, we'll find a way. I'm going to find a way. I'm going. It's happening. And so I watched that occur, when a stream of income goes, or as we learned over the last couple of years, if you have one stream of income and it is removed from you or whatever occurs, then we must begin to learn that all successful people have multiple streams of income, MSI, and majority of them have 6 or more. And so thank goodness when everything occurred and I was closing a business, I wasn't my only stream of income, because I had a company to run and that wouldn't have worked very well. So I think it's so very important that we keep this as not uncommon knowledge, that all successful people have multiple streams of income. They have MSI, and relying on that one stream from somebody else as well, right, is not it's not viable. It's not sustainable, and it's not owning it. Because I love how Grant Cardone says, if you lose power, it's your fault, because you didn't have a backup generator. The excuse would be, it's that person's fault because the power went out. Well, the truth is we can always plan for it. So owning it means taking full responsibility. And that, I believe, means also having multiple streams of income.
Oh, there's so many nuggets you just dropped right there. That was wonderful. Yeah. I mean, just to pile on that briefly, the reaction that we would get, we got multiple phone calls and emails from very close friends right after I left my day job of 13 years, my career of 13 years, right before COVID. And then COVID hit. And we got these phone calls that were so concerned. And people thought, oh my gosh, are you guys okay? Are you guys doing all right? And it was so thoughtful of people to ask that question. And these are folks that are in demanding, like, legal jobs, professional jobs, all across the board, corporate jobs. And not only are we okay, I mean, we were thriving because we'd been investing in these things for years. We'd been building our moat. We'd been investing in ourselves. We've been paying ourselves first. And so we're thriving because we went out of our way to go, work so hard to do this ahead of time. So I love that. I love the story that you shared. Thank you for that. I think it resonates and it sounds familiar. You can really de-risk your life in a lot of ways.
That's the best way to put it. That's what it is. Streams. Yeah. And I want to thank you for your knowledge and your information today. Everyone, you can grab the links if you want to connect with them more in the show notes, because it's time to have money make you money. And I love real estate. And I'm always thinking, I've been to a few real estate investing courses, learn how to do assignments, how to do flips, how to, have income properties, Airbnbs. And there's all these different ways, but they also require a lot of hands-on until you have like property management or what have you. So what I'm hearing, what's different with what you were doing, which was the third time, and you found the right answer, was that it's already a functioning system that's turnkey, and you decide how much you want to put in and into what. And then there is a system and people and yourself that are organizing and taking care of it. So you would help them make the best decisions, and then their money would be making them money and coming back into their account every month. Correct?
Very well said. Yeah. I mean, it's the only option in real estate investing that I have found where you are literally able to do nothing from a management perspective. You can look at reports if you want to. Some people do. Most people don't want to. Most people are truly busy. They are successful people. They want to go and do what they do best in their life. And so you could do diligence up front. That is literally the number one reason why people like working with us in particular, is they're like, oh, you literally go fly out and take a look at these facilities yourself and with your team. And I was like, that's why, because most people don't want to take 8 to 10 hours to go and evaluate these things themselves. And then after you're done, you don't lift a finger. And so I hadn't found that personally. And I didn't want to pick up the 1 a.m. phone calls. I didn't want to.
Yes. Yeah. My toilet's clogged, or this, that, and the other thing. Yes, exactly.
Exactly. But the money landing in the account or in my mailbox, no, that's okay.
That gets an absolute check. We'll definitely take the multiple streams of income. Getting paid every day sounds fantastic from investments that are making you money and are turnkey. And this is why it pays to know people in the right industry. So thank you so much for being here on the show today, for sharing your knowledge, for inspiring people to begin that entrepreneur journey and actually create conscious businesses that are birthing the new worth. And I believe giving people time back, financial freedom back, and that's what you are doing, which helps them live a life of choices on their own terms, is truly, truly owning it. So thank you for doing what you do. And where can everyone learn more about you?
Yeah, well, thank you. This is just a wonderful way to spend a Friday, and I think that truly anyone can become an entrepreneur and a runner of their own business. It just comes with belief first and foremost. And so our business and our investment club is called Madison Investing, and people can find that at madisoninvesting.com. If you go on there, you can actually book a meeting with me just to get to know each other. And I'm also on LinkedIn, so folks can find me on there if they want to shoot me a message and connect.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your energy, your time, your knowledge. And the beautiful thing is we didn't have to spend 14 years and then the years you spent learning and putting it all in place. We can now just fast forward and make some money.
Yes, exactly. The shortcut.
Yes, I like it. I'm all in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Remember, everyone, expect magic and miracles. Stay happy, healthy, and wealthy.